Good afternoon. I think my earlier speakers have actually done a lot of my job easy. So just to give you a quick, yeah, just to give you a quick intro, yeah. So I'm working with Arcadis IBI Group. It's a Netherlands-based firm, and I think one of the important things the firm is have started believing and have started walking the talk is about sustainability. So I think that's there in it's practiced with employees and it's been promoted with the customers, and we actually this year as part of our strategy has decided to take up only projects which are sustainability oriented. That's a big statement the board has actually, or a direction that the board has actually given to us. So having said that, we have been practicing in India for almost 17 years now, and our primary focus has been on mobility so far, and of course we always have been promoting public transport, and we have actually been trying to see all our primary focus is actually on that. And one of the important things that we have been trying to do is about trying to build the building blocks that actually make the mobility happen through technology and get it sustainable over a period of time, right? And I'm sure I will be tripping on a landmine when I say that we actually wanted the private vehicles to be more expensive. Like my friend, the other speaker was actually telling it's expensive. Yes, we want it to be more expensive so that it is unaffordable, so that people will start moving on to public transport. I think that's something that we all would want to actually happen, right? And I think this is just a quick brief. We are actually about 135-year-old firm, and we are spread across. And one of the important motives is actually about sustainability. I think that the firm has been all the time believing and practicing that on that part. So today, when we talk of mobility, there are three primary things that actually come to our mind. One is actually about how do we make the transportation more affordable, and mobility is inevitable. I think we all know that. How do we make it more reliable? I think that's one of the important things that comes to our mind. Second, how do we make it more safer, right? So that's the second important thing. And the third important thing that has not, but has started picking up is how do we make it more compliant? Both the users, the road rage and the kind of non-compliance to rules of traffic has always have been crossing the boundaries, and when people take pride in saying that we collected so much of penalties, it's not in the right stride that we actually have. So keeping in view these things, and of course in the same principles as what my earlier speaker has actually been pushing, so we actually have been working with 5 cities in the same lines, and then I would like to just give you a glimpse of what we have tried to do, and then what's been in the practice, and how did we show things can actually happen about 5, taking the example of 5 cities. So one of the cities about Hyderabad. It's about South Indian capital of Telangana. There what we have actually done is we have actually started the project with 5 key goals. One was to make sure the transportation becomes more reliable. Second, it becomes safer. Third, it becomes the biggest vision that I saw coming in from the authority was to make streets copless junctions. They didn't want a cop to be staying on the ground, right? So why do we, and that's where the technology and innovation started for us, right? The fourth was to actually make sure the information is available for people to take right decisions, both to the authorities and also to the users. So that's one of the important things that we started with. And the last is a pollution, which we wanted to make it happen for the city. So with this in mind, we actually designed the entire solution, and we implemented, and we are in the 4th year of running, and we have been asked to scale it up to other neighboring 2 cities, and it's showing excellent results. And we take pride in being part of this, and we are actually trying to see how we can pass this on through guidelines and sharing it across through ministries, and trying to see how we can level it up with other cities as well. What we also have done in the city is we have actually implemented a signaling system which actually is taking into account changing the timings, which is more adaptive to the changing traffic patterns, right? So the system the people need not worry about how to time the signals right. The system automatically takes into account and drives it so that the idling at the junctions is minimum, and we are actually making sure the travel times are reliable. Again, this is not to promote private vehicles. We are very clear about it. We want to give priority to public transport. We want to ensure the emergency vehicles are not getting stuck in the jams, right? So that is the priority with which we have actually designed this kind of a signaling system. And of course, we are and we can see how the average speeds in the city has actually changed. These are some substantial results we are actually able to see, and we are able to reduce the delays and make sure the travel times have improved close to about 30%. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. And there's a big things to actually happen with this kind of a system. And now we are trying to see how we can help Bangalore to actually repeat the same, and then trying to see how we can actually do this part. We are closely working with, and we have all the evidence to actually talk about it, but I think that's something that we have actually done. The second important city we are talking about is Chennai, right? So Chennai is again a South Indian city where, and of course these are all commercial contracts, and we are trying to use our expertise again through our contractual obligations to make sure that we are driving the right things into the minds of the people and trying to influence authorities to take the right decisions, right? And again, I'm repeating my point that fundamentally the building blocks need to be deep rooted, because whatever technology, whatever things that we may talk, and how many initiatives that may take, if the building blocks are not deep rooted, I can tell you for sure it's never be sustainable, whatever may be the technology that we use. So it's important that we are embedding this at a grassroots level, so that right from the policy to the capacity building to the infrastructure, everything is actually moving at the right pace, and then all of them are actually syncing up with each other. So that's something that we have done with the city of Chennai as well. Now the project is actually in implementation phase. We have designed it, and of course this is something that again we are actually expecting the changes to actually start showing up results. In fact, we have been focusing on designing the junctions appropriately to make sure they become more safe and they are adaptable and sustainable over a period of time. So the other important city that we have focused is Bhubaneswar, and again this is where one of the top ranked #1 smart city out of the 100 smart cities competition that actually went through, and we have ensured that the technology has been embedded into at every stage, which influences all the key stakeholders. Like for example, one of the key objectives we had was we wanted to make the city child-friendly city. Now you know what it takes to make a city a child-friendly, because every aspect or every touch point of a kid needs to be safe and need to be accessible for a kid, right? So that's something that was important for us to keep in mind. So, and we did all the possible technology interventions, and again, when we talk about it, we designed the infrastructure, we ensured the pilot projects are taken up, and lessons are learned, and then finally it's now getting into the final stages, and it's already implemented now, and you all can go and then start seeing the impact of that, including the public transport change that has actually happened, and a lot of policy changes, whatever my friend talked about, all are rightly embedded in the city of Bhubaneswar, what you can actually see, right? Next, coming to the city of Bangalore, yes, we are also trying to see how we can actually start working with the city of Bangalore, which has now has been given the unwanted or unanticipated being the congestion capital of the world. It's unfortunate, but I think we are one of those who believe, are optimists, and we are sure we can actually solve this problem. We have started collaborating with the Bangalore Traffic Police also, Orca and other organizations in the city. But again, we started working with the city with the metro stations, started doing the multimodal integration plans, which are very essential to ensure the first and last mile things are actually taken care for every public transport terminal that is required. We are working with K-Ride, which is actually a ring road railway for Bangalore, which has started up picking up momentum. We are working with the BMRCL to make sure that the 33 stations, we are actually designing the station area plans, the last mile and first mile connectivity plans we are creating, so that, and it's a sustainable way that we are looking at, both from a policy point of view, the every stakeholder, key stakeholder being needs are being addressed to. So I think that's another important thing that we are actually doing. The other important city, the tale of Mumbai, we have done the similar thing about transit-oriented development, and which already started showing results. We have done that. We have actually also working with putting up a public bike sharing system and cycling tracks being created in the city of Mumbai, and plus the multimodal integration, of course, is one of the things that we worked with. Line 5 and Line 7 we have created, and it's already getting deployed. But another important aspect is the traffic control room operations, right? So it's important to make sure that the traffic runs seamlessly, the problems are getting documented, the SOPs are actually getting created for people to collaborate, and right platforms are being created for people to collaborate. Because what is important is today, we don't want it to be a people-driven initiative. We want it to be a system-driven and a process-driven initiative, so that it sustains over a longer period of time. And we want to make it a rewarding program or rewarding initiative, and people take pride in actually, like P2P is something that people take pride when we say that I have traveled in metro or I've traveled in bus. It's a moment of pride. We try to make it as a moment of pride for people and the officers and the key stakeholders. I think that's very important thing that we have actually observed, and this has actually given us a lot of encouragement in doing. And believe me, this is something, it actually takes a lot of effort from all our key experts, and the kind of battery of experts we need to bring into the table to make sure things happen, and the people need to be convinced about these things. It's a huge task. And lastly, I think this is something that all of us actually have been talking about, and this is something now we are actually trying to focus. With the success of UPI and UAI, now the next big thing that we are also embarking on, a big thing, is about the unified mobility interface, and we are in consultation with key stakeholders. Of course, it's going to be on an open network and a beacon protocol alliance, and of course this is something that we are actually mooting up, so that every stakeholder in the mobility ecosystem locks in to this interface and then starts creating their own enabling modules, and then works in a very integrated and a seamless fashion. And probably because I have only 9 minutes, so I'm just rushing it, so we can always have a separate engagement on this part. Right from, we have taken every element of this when we are structuring this entire initiative, right? Lastly, I would like to leave the entire forum, and what we have always been believed in is about the 5 principles that we have always tried to. One of the important things, fundamental things, is when the root is deep, I think we don't need to be worried about the impact of winds, right? So I think that is one of the fundamental things all our projects, all our teams strongly believe in. The second important is tech is not an end itself, it's a means to an end. I think this is one of the important things now authorities have started believing. When we started talking about in the beginning, people were laughing at us, and most of the projects were driven by OEMs in the market. I'm sorry to say this, but now authorities are realizing what went wrong. And now they are actually coming back to see how we can create SOPs, how we can create capacities, and how we can create collaborative platforms for people to use the technology to actually make sure outcomes are actually driven through, and tech becomes a powerful means to an end. Third, we have enough for satisfying everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. I think it's very important for us to understand there is a difference between an ambition and a greed. So we can't, and one of the key things we're talking about a beacon protocol or an open protocol systems is about we can't be greedy about only my system to go everywhere is not a right moment. And I think this is actually picking up. I'm happy to see that happening. And most importantly, right, everything needs to be measured. It needs to be a data-based decision making, and only what gets measured gets done. I think it's important for all of us to believe in. And last and most important, like all my previous friends also talked about, I think we need to be the change what we need to see. I think when we talk about promoting public transport, a question to ourselves is how much of my transport is actually going through public transport, or how much of my energy consumption is actually is through green sources, and how much of paper am I using in my day-to-day, how many tissue papers I'm using at airports or at hotels and so on and so forth. I think this is something, change starts with self. I think with this, I would like to thank TIA and especially Jose for giving us this opportunity. And I'll be happy to connect with you all and then see how best we can be part of this entire change. Thank you so much.